Flags are often seen everywhere, as are the flag symbols on clothing and in public displays. So for Trump, that would be make America great again, build that wall, God bless the USA, symbols and paraphernalia like the truckers' hats, and the Purple Heart, I always wanted one. Number 2 is disdain for the recognition of human rights. Because of fear of enemies and the need for security, the people in fascist regimes are persuaded that human rights can be ignored in certain cases because of the need. People tend to look the other way or even approve of torture, summary executions, assassinations, long incarceration of prisoners, etc. An example here would be the Muslim ban, the Muslim database, kill their families, torture works, more than waterboarding, he said. If I tell generals to do it, war crimes, they will do it. Women who've had abortion should be penalized. Number 3, identification of enemies, scapegoats as a unifying cause. In fascist regimes, the people are rallied into a unifying patriotic frenzy over the need to eliminate a perceived common threat or foe. Racial, ethnic, religious minorities, liberals, communists, socialists, terrorists. And Trump's example would be Mexicans, Muslims, Chinese, African Americans. Get them out of here. Crooked Hillary, Lion Ted, Little Marco, the media calling the U.S. Intelligence community Nazis. Russians are okay, though. Of course, Russians are okay. Supremacy of the military in a fascist regime. Oh, this is number 4. Supremacy of the military. In a fascist regime, even when there are widespread domestic problems, the military is given a disproportionate amount of government funding. Hold on. Sorry. Where am I? And the domestic agenda is neglected. Soldiers in military service are glamorized. Cutting funding for Meals on Wheels, Corporation for Public Broadcasting, and after-school programs while increasing the Homeland Security and defense budgets. And he said, we need to make our military so big, so powerful, we'll never have to use it. Even though Trump clearly knows we already have the most powerful and formidable military in the entire world by a wide margin, and that the conventional military power isn't the key to asymmetric warfare. Number 5 is rampant sexism. Oh, you just do that? I can do that. Okay. The government of fascist nations tend to be almost exclusively male-dominated. Under fascist regimes, traditional gender roles are made more rigid. Divorce, abortion, and homosexuality are suppressed, and the state is represented as the ultimate guardian of the family institution. Trump said, grab them by the pussy. You have to treat women like crap. I used crap instead of the other word. A woman who is very flat-chested is very hard to be a 10. Perhaps I date my daughter. Look at that face. Fat pig. Women who've had abortions should be penalized. He supported Roger Ailes and Bill O'Reilly's multiple cases of sexual harassment. Controlled mass media. Sometimes the media is directly controlled by the government, but in other cases the media is indirectly controlled by the government, by regulation or sympathetic fascist media spokespeople and executives, censorship, especially in wartime, this is very common. And Trump says, news media is the enemy of the American people. That lion media. Open up libel laws. And as far as Roger Ailes, Sean Hannity, Bill O'Reilly, Rush Limbaugh, Steve Bannon, Alex Jones, Mark Levin, these extremists that he supports, yeah, he gives them all White House press releases. Number 7 is obsession with national security. In a fascist state, fear is used as a motivational tool by the government over the masses. They're bringing in drugs, Trump says. They're bringing in crime. They're rapists. He talks about the Muslim ban and the Muslim database. Number 8, religion and government are intertwined. Governments in fascist nations tend to use the most common religion in the nation as a tool to manipulate public opinion. Religious rhetoric and terminology is a common form of government leaders, even when the major tenets of the religion are diametrically opposed to the government's policies or actions. and I'm just going to mention, I recently read an article that there was a state where they just passed a law that they can teach Bible classes in school. I mean, this is insanity. And the Supreme Court just made a monumental decision giving Christian schools power to have government funding, which is a clear violation of church and state. Okay. And and Trump's examples is when he said that Christianity is under siege. An amendment pushed by Lyndon Johnson many years ago threatens religious institutions with loss of their tax-exempt status if they openly advocate for their political views. Well, we know why that's necessary. Number 9, corporate power is protected. The industrial and business aristocracy of a fascist nation often are the ones who put the government leaders into power, creating a mutually beneficial business-government relationship and powerful elite. I give to everybody. When they call, I give, Trump says. And you know what? When I need something from them, 3 years, 2 years later, I call them and they're there for me. He also has strategic bankruptcy protection, frivolous lawsuits, shortchanging contractors and vendors, usage of eminent domain to acquire other people's property, his cabinet rife with a record number of corporate and Wall Street elite, nominating people to head agencies who are hostile to the very agent's purpose. Why? To protect corporate interests and profits. That's the bottom line. 10. Labor power is suppressed. Because the organizing power of labor is the only real threat to a fascist government, labor unions are either eliminated entirely or severely suppressed. Trump says taxes are too high, wages are too high, we're not going to be able to compete against the world. Having a low minimum wage isn't a bad thing. Yeah. Okay, 11. Disdain for intellectuals in the arts. Fascist nations tend to promote and tolerate open hostility to higher education and academia. It's not uncommon for professors and other academics to be censored or even arrested. Free expression in the arts and letters is openly attacked. Trump says climate change is a hoax perpetrated by the Chinese. I'm smart, you're stupid. He says, I love the poorly educated, which is fine, but Trump also despises the intellectual elite. Andy Warhol. I still hate the Trumps. Art-Space magazine. He's hardly the only artist to hate Trump. Obsession with crime and punishment. Under fascist regimes, the police are given almost limitless power to enforce laws. The people are often willing to overlook police abuses and even forego civil liberties in the name of protecting patriotism. Yeah, there's none of that in America, huh? There is often a national police force with virtually unlimited power in fascist regimes. And Trump was the law and order president. Remember how he went after the Central Park Five? Bring back stop and frisk. Again, women who have abortions should be punished. Lock her up. Okay, we're almost done here. Number 13 is rampant cronyism and corruption. Fascist regimes almost always are governed by groups of friends and associates who appoint each other to government positions and use governmental power and authority to protect their friends from accountability. Does that sound familiar? It is not uncommon in fascist regimes for national resources and even treasures to be appropriated or even outright stolen by government leaders. Family members and a record number of Wall Street cronies in Trump's administration. And again, Trump said, I give to everybody, and when they call, when I need something, they're going to get it for me. The Trump Foundation, they paid a fine for illegal campaign contributions, admitted to illegal self-dealing, admitted to accepting illegal donations under cease and desist order. Yeah, and of course we know about Kushner, his son-in-law, basically running the show over there. I read an article the other day calling him de facto Secretary of State. I mean, it's insane. His daughter being being an advisor without being elected or having any accountability. It's insane.